Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another day, another week, another episode of 30NSG. On today's show, we're going to be talking about Xbox handheld rumors swirl as Microsoft starts testing console Wi-Fi features 10 years too late. An article comes from Windows Central. We're going to talk about Redfall Studio was reportedly working on an offline mode for May release before closure. That comes from Eurogamer. And then we're going to watch a video for exclusive interview inside Star Wars Outlaws reputation system. So we'll watch that as well from Game Informer. We also have a bonus articles. We have one from Helldivers 2 Operation Cleans Up is community-driven major order to post positive Steam reviews. And then we have it's time to stop giving Xbox boss Phil Spencer a pass. And that comes from everyone's favorite Kotaku. So we'll read these articles. This is what we do. We read articles. I read them for the very first time on stream. I give you my thoughts and opinions live, and then we have a conversation with chat while we do this. We do appreciate you coming out. If you like this, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. We do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. We do live shows, we do gameplay, we do shorts, we do uploads, and we do podcasts as well. Speaking of podcasts, this Thursday, Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. We have a special guest this week. Kingard will be joining me. Sarge is out this week, and Kingard's filling in for him, so we appreciate Kingard coming in and hanging out with us for this Thursday evening. What's going on, chat? What's going on, Travis? What's going on, Sarge? D-Money? Al Dente, what's going on? Kylo? Who else here? Waterbear, good morning, good morning. All right, so let's get started with let's see. What do we talk about the handheld? I see a lot of I'm having a back and forth real fast with Sarge and texts and stuff like that. I know I come across this is a different way than every other YouTuber out there. Right, and I kind of want to like talk about this for a second, is that I went to school for television and film, and in my school, at least Full Sail, and I know other schools around the area as well that went to film school or went to computer animation or went to show pro or went to game design. While we were in school, they told us what this industry was like. They told us from the get-go, right, that you want to find that job that you could pay your bills, right? They tell you that, get the stability jobs, okay? Lots of people don't even make the industry, right? So my class, when I graduated, was 400 people. 400 people started day one in my class. And by the end of the 13-month program, there was 150 people, okay? 150 people that were left that could cut it. And out of those 150 people, seven of us got jobs in the industry right out of school. Okay. So out of 400 people, 7 of us worked full time in the industry. And I'm even out of that stat now because I stopped about 5 years ago as a full-time person. Okay. Where other people are still working. And there's, I think, 3 of us left out of the 7 that still are. One's an editor. One has his own business, but he's not working in that per se same high-end stuff, and then one is a assistant director that works on a bunch of films and stuff still. Okay, so it's a really hard business to be into, just like any other major profession out there. Now, the game design guys that I know, right, they're always looking for that full-time job, right? I know guys that worked on Skyrim back in the day. I know people that worked on Fallout back in the day. Right, I know a lot of people that worked for Call of Duty. Okay, they got into these positions where they got that full-time job. Right, they got that check. They worked for that company for 4 years, for 5 years, for 6 years. Right, they work for these companies. Okay, and yet everyone's still surprised when these guys get let go or a studio gets picked up and then they gut them or they close the studio down. This happens all the time. There is production companies that are made on a project. They literally employ somebody, they make the television show, they make the movie, and then they close down. Okay, so it's very interesting to the regular public to be like surprised by this. It's also surprising to me that the actual developers that are in the industry are also like surprised that their job, like, we are all independent contractors, at least in the film industry, right? Very few of us, if you work as a producer or you work in the offices for these companies, if you're like an accountant, if you're a production assistant, if you're a script soup, if you're whatever, you have another project because there's a studio, they have multiple projects working. You go from one to the next. In the film industry, the jobs that we were looking for, okay, was the sitcoms, right? You were looking for the sitcoms or the reality shows that you walked in every single day, filmed for 6 months. And then you knew that if a season 2 got picked up, you would come back and that would be your solid job for the next 3 months for next season or whatnot. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for working for a sports team that has 82 home games, right? In baseball. You're looking for the basketball team that every Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, they come to home game and you start filming those things. That is the stable job for people in the industry as far as the crew, okay, which is the same as the developers of video games. Okay, now it's a little different in video games because they sign contracts that are still independent contractors, and some of them get picked up. A small percentage of them get picked up to work for that studio. And if they get on a job like EA, or if they get in a job like Activision, where they're working on Call of Duty, and then the next Call of Duty comes out, and every 3 years they're pumping out a Call of Duty, or if you work for Bungie, where you worked on the same game for 10 years, or maybe you worked for Blizzard, where you're working on the MMO, and you're constantly working on that game, and you had that consistent paycheck, and you love that consistent paycheck. But at the end of the day, if I work on a film and that film comes out and it bombs, okay, I already got my money. I already got paid. Okay, I move on to the next project. When a dev works on a job and they work on a game and that game sells well or doesn't sell well, they still got paid. They still made their money. They still get to move on. Okay, everyone loses their job at some point. It sucks. It's the shittiest thing that could possibly happen to somebody, especially when you have bills to pay, mortgages, and kids to feed. Okay, it's very stressful. It's a shitty thing. Okay, but to believe that the outsiders, looking at the insiders here of the people that are getting fired and pretending they know what's going on, is always fun to me. Okay, I don't pretend to know what's going on, but I know from being inside the actual business and working as a game tester and knowing that you can lose your job at any moment. It's not right in any way, shape, or form. But the reality is that it doesn't matter if you make product good or product bad. It's what have you done for me lately? I've said this multiple times in the past. It doesn't matter if I worked on Lord of the Rings, which I didn't. But if I worked on Lord of the Rings and then the next project comes out and I worked on Miss Marvel, okay, what have you done for me lately? What is your position? What have you done? Okay, we don't care what your past is. We don't care what you worked on. Sounds really good on the project. But other than that, right? Other than that, they don't give a shit. Okay? Companies, corporations do not have a pulse. They do not have compassion in any way, shape, or form. You are a tissue. As an employee, they hire you, they use you, they abuse you, and they spit you out for the next person to come in that's not disgruntled or petty or doesn't ask for more money, right? And they keep on moving, and they keep on breathing, they keep on making more money. And I know this sounds really harsh, but that's what life is. Okay? That's my little rant in the morning here. Okay? That's my little rant this morning. It's all about worth ethic at that level. Talent gets you there, but ethic keeps you employed. That's right. Who else do you know? I mean, I have a lot of friends and acquaintances that I went to school with that still work in the business. I know it's old phrase, but life ain't fair, and the place you go and rides. Here's my other thing, right? A lot of these YouTubers, I'm not calling individuals out. I'm just saying in general, right? A lot of these YouTubers, okay, are young. They came out of high school or college and they started their YouTube channel. They've never worked an actual job. And I know YouTube is an actual job, but what I'm saying is what an actual job is. A 9-to-5, going to an office, going to a corporate office, like grinding in that world. They've never experienced that. They don't know how cutthroat it is. They don't know any factor whatsoever. And yet they sit there and make videos pretending they know and how easy it is to just make the decisions that people make and why people lose their job or don't lose their job. And it makes me laugh a little bit because You know if you know, right? You know if you know. Right? YouTube's an actual job. Next, you'll claim that esports. Look, all I'm saying is if you make money from something, Travis, it's a job. But at the same time, being a YouTuber or being an esports person, you'll know different drama and how it works in that industry. But the people that pretend to know how corporate world works when they've never worked in the corporate world, that's like me telling you how a millionaire thinks when I'm not a millionaire. Do you understand what I'm saying? So prostitution is a valid job? You make money from it? Yes. It's actually one of the oldest professions in the world. You got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. Robert Jones says, anyone that worked a tough job gives no fucks about dev crunch. Literally every day of my life when I worked on a movie set was crunch time. Was 12, 14, 16, 22-hour days for 6 weeks or 6 months. I've worked on some really cake jobs and I've worked on some really shitty jobs. And that's just in the film industry. I worked as a roofer for a couple times. I did tile. I did drywall. Right? I've done a lot of hard industry jobs as well. I've also worked in the corporate world, right? I worked for Apple. I worked for Movie Co. I was a general manager of a certain smaller entity of corporate world, right? I worked for amusement parks. Okay? I've had to fire lots and lots of people. Maybe that's why I'm desensitized to a lot of things. I don't know. Is something is illegal, can it be a real job? Again, a real job, I don't care if it's illegal or legal. If you're making money from it, it's a job. The context of this, Travis, is a job of someone that works in the corporate world, okay, understands what the corporate world is. A YouTuber that works by themselves does not know what it's like to work in the corporate world if they've never had another job before, in the context that I'm talking about. Like, I want to ask the question, right? Because the Kotaku article says that Phil Spencer should lose his job. Cool. Now, my question is, if they put someone else there, do they think, and I've asked this on Discord yesterday, and I asked this last night when I was playing Fallout 76, right? Phil Spencer leaves. They put Sarah Bond there, or they put Matt Booty there, or they bring someone else new, an unknown person they bring in that position. Do they think it's going to change? Do they think the head of the studio is not going to buy more people out? Do they think that those people will never get fired now because of said thing? Do they think that if Phil Spencer leaves, that Microsoft will be better off or the same? Because the company, again, doesn't care about the employees. It doesn't matter how high up you are as CEO or as low as coffee barista, okay? The corporation doesn't discriminate. It just wants to make money. That's it. If you're making money for the company, you're valuable. If you're not making money for the company, you're not valuable, okay? So now let's have a little conversation about Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush has never been told to us if it's sold well or anything. I had a video last year talking about how Redfall was the, I think I remember it correctly, it was the second most played game on this, and it was the 12th most played on Game Pass, right? But they never tell you the actual number of how many people played. We looked at the achievement list, and we said that, you know, 9% of the people got past the first map, but it was the number 2 game and the number 12 game across the board. Hi-Fi Rush was a knock out of the park. People loved it, right? I bought it. So, right? So I paid money for the actual game because I thought it was good, right? I played it first on Game Pass, and then I bought it because I was like, you know what? I want to support that studio. I want them to make another game, okay? But yet a lot of people are confused. They're like, I can't believe Hi-Fi Rush. It was the best game that came out last year. It was so good. Where are you? Where's all the people that bought the game? Show me the receipts. Show me the receipts of you buying that game that you loved so much. Okay? Where is it? Right? Because studios go on. Now, I know someone's going to say, well, Microsoft made all the money last year. They made money. It was a popular game. They made the money. But yet they still fired the studio. We don't know that number. You don't know the budget. You don't know how much money they made. You don't know how popular it was because they hide all the numbers, especially because of Game Pass. They tell you 4 million people played the game. But how many of the 4 million people bought the game? Because buying the game and engaging with the game are two different metrics. Okay? So, if you want a game to succeed, you actually have to buy the game. Okay? And a lot of people like to buy the broken, buggy, unfinished games that have microtransactions in it, but then when a single-player game comes out that's actually really good, nobody buys it. Nobody buys it. And then they wonder why the studio closes down because it didn't make money, but it was popular. Try removing espressos for 10 hours a day. I don't know about if Phil should lose his job, but he should quit getting passes. Is he getting passes, though? I don't understand. Do we know what's happening on the upper office and if he gets his ass chewed out every day? I don't know, and I also don't care. Because I just want them to make a game and sell a game. Dolphin says, also, what the journalist ever CEO, or whatever Phil tells or title is, put the journalist in charge and see how it goes for them. Eclipse says, yeah, getting passes right now. How much money did he make last year for Xbox? Like 40% or something. Dave Rose says, nobody bought it, and they all played it on Game Pass. Heck, I didn't even sell well on PlayStation. So where does this all leave Microsoft now? What do you think? I think it leaves them exactly where they are right now. There was a number. There was a number. Let me bring it up real fast. Let me scroll back up. I posted it yesterday in the... Hold on. Yeah. Here it is. Okay, so this is where it leaves Microsoft, right? So Windows OEM revenue is up 4%. Device revenue down 22%. So they're selling less devices. But gaming revenue is up 9%. Xbox content plus services revenue is up 13%. But the Xbox hardware is down 7%. So not only are they selling less consoles last quarter, right? And the device revenue is down. Okay. So device and hardware sales are down 29%. But the game revenue and the Xbox server revenue update is up 39% with the revenue up for everything else. Okay. So they're positive, right? They're in the positive. Now, the Xbox content plus service, that content goes for everything. It goes for Fallout 76. It goes for Hi-Fi Rush. It goes for any game that came onto Game Pass at that moment. All of this stuff, and that number's up. That number's up. Does it matter if Hi-Fi Rush won awards, or is it about the bottom line? I bought it on PlayStation, but I bet the decision to close the studio was already made at that point. Correct, Makoki. So there was also a thing that came out today that this is from Reddit. Now, take it what you want, okay? But Tango GameWorks shutting down. The reason is that Shinji Okay, the founder of the studio left last year. Okay, and the scuttlebutt is that he took most of the staff with him to his new studio. Okay, now I don't know if this is true or not. This is from a Reddit post. We do know the lead, the founder of it, left last year after the game came out. He left the studio, started a new studio. So obviously at the end of the fiscal year, which is coming up, right? That's why they're closing the studio down, because the next fiscal year is starting. So they closed down the studio ahead of time, meaning we don't even know if the studio was there after. Okay. Hi-Fi Rush came out. Hi-Fi Rush came out. They had a couple people still working on a couple things for it after the fact. Okay. But everyone left. Majority of it left. So potentially, there was no studio left. And they went, you know what? Let's just close it down because it's not worth it. Right? I'm taking a guess here based on information that's over here. But we don't even know if the game studio was still there. We just know that there was people that worked for it. And now we know yesterday there were 65 people that worked for the company. Are we talking about Hi-Fi Rush or Baldur's Gate 3? Right, because they hide the number. You can only make assertions based on the info you have. Exactly, Travis. Okay. Water Bear says, Hi-Fi Rush was good, but I think it got hurt because it was free to play on Game Pass. But to be honest, how many people would have paid for it? Here's the thing. I'm taking a real, just a guess here. We talked about what Embracer Group is doing, right? How they had all these studios and they're putting them in all these little sections, right? They had their board game division, they have their AA division, and then they have their AAA division. And why are they doing this? Because they're separating the three, because they would be more valuable to people that want to buy stuff, because they would potentially not fire as many studios because they know what they're getting. When Microsoft bought Betamax, I was going to say Betamax. When they bought Bethesda ZeniMax, okay, which is Betamax, okay, they had all those studios. Now, obviously, I said this back then. I said they're going to get rid of the fat because this is what we do. This is why I don't like consolidation, but it's going to happen regardless if I fight back against it or not, because that's what corporate does. They have to be Unicron. Unicron has to keep eating. It eats planets. That's what it does. Okay, to stay alive, it's got to keep eating planets. Okay, EA did this, Activision Blizzard did this, Microsoft did this, Sony did this, Nintendo did this. All of these companies buy other studios up and they fire people. If you go back on Google and search, there's layoffs every single year. 2011 there was 700 layoffs. In 2012 there was like 600 layoffs. In 2018 there was another 900 layoffs, right? This is not new in the industry. It feels new because there's a shit ton more studios out there and a crap ton more people working in the industry, because the industry is the biggest industry on the planet. If you take everything else combined, that is what the gaming industry is doing. So there's a lot more people trying to make games, trying to publish games. There's so many people working in the industry now. Obviously, not everyone can make money. I haven't rewatched the Xbox podcast with Phil Spencer, Booty, but some of the Twitter are saying that Phil said during the podcast that releasing more platforms helps secure more revenue for their studios. Sure, but it doesn't mean it is going to, right? He can say what he says, but it doesn't mean a game is going to sell if it sells. Now, if it sold 1 million copies on one console, but now it opens up to 2 million, but they still didn't make the 4 million they needed, then it doesn't really matter. Meanwhile, Lono feels the opposite. He's having a field day. I don't know what Lono thinks. I'm sure we'll figure it out on Friday when we have a conversation. Left and took the employees with him. Himself was the one who reported that. According to Jeff Grubb and Jez Gordon, Perfect Dark is very rough shape. Water, come on, bro. You can do this. You know you're smart enough to crush Baldur's Gate 3. Perfect Dark has been in a shitter for years. Now, I have a question, right? I have a question. Perfect Dark, would you guys rather have it come out and be shit, or would you rather have the studio close? just from a gamer point of view. Would you rather have a shitty game that they wasted 4 years on a game, 5 years on a game, or would you rather that studio close and never have the game? What's going on, Chris? It's going to be a shit for 24 months after release anyway? Right. Right, that's a tough question. I'm seriously asking. Would you rather have a shit game, or would you rather have no game? Papa says, let them release it so people can see the game and then shut them down. Jesus. Yeah. Yeah. I'd rather the studio close instead of them releasing a shit title after a shit title. I don't understand this. Look, and I get it. I'm a Gen Xer, right? I'm the tail end of the Gen Xers, right? If I do something shitty, right? Maybe some of you think my channel's shitty, right? But here I am, day after day, making content, trying to improve myself, right? Trying to be real, not trying to be fake in any way, shape, or form. Have conversations with people, okay? And yet, I make money from it. Do I make all the money from it? No. If I was a corporate, I would be shut down. If someone owned my channel, I would be closed down because I'm not making enough money. But because I work for myself, I make okay money, right? That's the difference, right? The YouTubers out there that talk about this, they have no experience with corporate world. Corporate world, okay? Here's I would love someone to know if you are a Microsoft stockholder and you want to make money, okay? Right? You're a stockholder for Microsoft, and then they tell you, you want to make money on your back money on your investment, right? Well, how are you going to do that? Well, you got to fire people. So now, are you a YouTuber by yourself, but you're also a stockholder in Microsoft, and you're like, well, I want to make more money. I'm against what they're doing, but I need to make more money for myself, right? That would be a hell of a dilemma to be in, wouldn't it? Right? I don't own stock in Microsoft in any way, shape, or form. Just to put that out there, okay? But I do understand that the corporations have to make money. There's no feelings there. There's no feelings in business. Business is business. Okay? Business is business. They want to make money, and they have to cut people. If your product doesn't make money, right? Even though the writers write it and say it's the most popular game, okay? Again, last week, Remedy Studios, fastest selling game for Alan Wake 2, still haven't made their money back, right? Their budget back. Okay. Hellblade 2 coming out, right? When does that come out? When does that come out? Real fast. When does Hellblade 2 come out? May 21st. May 21st. In just a week and a half, 2 weeks. Right? Where's the advertisement? Where's the advertisement for this game? I'm just saying. This doesn't look good. This doesn't look good for Ninja Theory. Okay? Doesn't look good. They didn't advertise Hi-Fi Rush very well because it was a shadow drop. Yet we know Hellblade 2 is coming out on May 21st, and yet nobody really knows about Hellblade 2. Okay? It's like they're set up to fail, to trim the fat. Like with Sega not release, I didn't really understand why they already put like $100 million into a game. Do they get that much money as tax breaks, or they really don't need it to release? I'm not sure. Okay, a lot of companies. I'll speak from a business side, Eclipse, from a movie side or television side. A lot of studios own IPs, and to keep that IP, they will make a shitty movie. Let's say $20 million. They'll because they own the IP, they will throw out $20 million, hire camera guys and directors and actors, and they'll go film it, knowing that it will never ever be seen by a person, right? It'll never be seen by the eyes. They film it and it gets set up on the shelf, okay? But it's a tax write-off for them down the road, right? They do this all the time, okay? Or they film it and go, okay, we'll just put it straight to video. Now it's straight to streaming service. They do that on purpose because it's a tax write-off. So I'm sure if they do it for film and television, I'm pretty sure they do it with video games as well. As a Gen Xer, we were raised to do whatever it would like, nothing unethical, of course, without giving a flying crap about what people think. That's exactly right. Are you a Gen Xer, Alien? I didn't know you were a Gen Xer. Respect. It's like we're both driving Jeeps down the road, and we're like, or a motorcycle. I see you. Redfall was trash because Microsoft rushed it. Redfall wasn't ready. Well, no. Now here we are, Cutler. ZeniMax was rushing that shit, right? Microsoft happened to buy the company, and Redfall was its redheaded stepchild that was already there. Okay? It wasn't Microsoft's problem when they were working on it. When they bought it, it became Microsoft's problem, and then they continued to let it go. But they said out loud, they said, we didn't get involved. We let ZeniMax and them, and no longer will that happen. Hence why they put Matt Booty in charge of ZeniMax, because they don't want another thing happening like what happened to Redfall, where it came out broke, buggy, unfinished, and now you have to opt in for a refund if people bought the Bite Back edition. Okay, so that wasn't really a Microsoft problem. That was a ZeniMax Bethesda problem, which then became a Microsoft problem, which then became our problem. We're going to talk about the tweet announcing they'll be sharing info on the next Switch successor this year. No, we are not. And not until they tell more information. More information. They said they're going to announce it by March of 2025, right? Which is the end of the fiscal business year. Drumman, if you're gonna say if you're gonna try to shout me out, it's just at 30. You don't have to put the NSG because that's not how you do it. It just put at 30, and then it'll pop up as 30 NSG. So shall we even bother viewing the Microsoft showcase at this point? Sure, why not? Sure, you're just a gamer. Are you a stockholder? Are you boycotting Microsoft? If you're boycotting Microsoft, then by all means, don't watch it. I really don't think Hellblade would get new people to play it. If you haven't played the first one, you're not going to play the second one. That's a very niche game. Yeah, I have no interest in it. I have no interest. Rip Batgirl movie. Yeah, that's right. Tax write-off. Come on, Argus. Come on, Mr. Luke. I said this before. Gen X was the start of the downfall. Sure? I don't know what downfall you're talking about. That's not true. Redfall has always been trash. The dev company had made it themselves, said they hoped that Microsoft would cancel the game. Right. That wasn't a Microsoft problem. That was a ZeniMax Bethesda problem. And Arcane. What's going on, Mo? What's going on, Al? What's going on, Chris? Okay. I don't think I would ever boycott Microsoft since I'm always using their OS Windows. I'm playing Hellblade 2 and watching the showcase. Microsoft will be fine. Yeah, Mo, I showed us the numbers that were up for them. Nothing's happening different with them. Everyone's saying the sky's falling, but they've been saying that for quite some time. And this is not me defending, right? This is not defending. It's the same thing when Sony does something. Everyone's like, oh, Sony's in trouble. Sony's fine. Sony's fine. Microsoft's fine. They're fine. Sony's so fine that they literally put $26 billion towards Paramount to get more IPs. They're fine right now. I'm playing modded Fallout 4 game right now. Nice. Argus says, Lono's stream is going apeshit against Microsoft in there. I had to get out of there. I mean, I don't go apeshit on anything. I try to look at it a level-headed as possible. And kind of give an insight to how it could be done. Right? Hellblade 2 will be the best played on PC. I still think it's a niche community. And they haven't marketed it at all. Like right now. Right? I'm gonna turn on my Xbox right now. I'm gonna turn on my Xbox right now. And if Hellblade 2 is not on the front page, there's a problem. Go to the store. Survey says I see a... Well, here, I'll bring it up for you. Survey says... Okay, the store... Okay, there's Home Spotlight, Game Pass, games we picked for you, game accessories, the Ghostbusters Frozen... Right, I don't see it on the store page. The only thing I see of Hellblade is right here, Xbox Game Studios sales for Hellblade 1. Where would it be? The fact that I even have to go this far in to look for a game that's coming out in 2 weeks. I see Hellblade 2 all the time. Well, maybe it's because you played Hellblade 1, Mo. To be fair, I never played Hellblade 1. Usually on the homepage. Recently added to Game Pass. Farm Simulator, Friends Update, Achievement Hunter, Dungeons, Future Events, Listen, Game we picked this week, Leaving Soon. I literally don't see it at all on anything. Now, again, I'm not a person that played the first one, so maybe the algorithm knows, well, he's not interested in the second one, which would be awesome if that's the way it worked. Okay? Which would be awesome if that's the way it worked. Haven't seen an advertisement at all for Hellblade 2. It was Sony shutting down some studios. We either wouldn't cover it, or to be saying it's a sad day for gaming, not judge Sony at all. Well, know what the funny part is, Kylo? Last year, Nintendo closed the studio down, and I believe I put it in our Discord when I was talking about it. I put a couple of stories. Let's see, that's 700 people. More than 1,000 people lost their job in 2021. Let's see. Nintendo had one. Where's the Nintendo one? I know I put one for Nintendo. I can't find it now. But Nintendo closed the studio down. Where was the news reports on that? There's like a speed bump at 100 miles an hour. Just went right over it. I mean, you guys saw my channel, right? I didn't do anything different. There's no Hellblade 2 on my thing. I didn't change anything. I haven't seen anything, right? Regardless, if you see it, it should be plastered everywhere right now. Be plastered everywhere. I mean, how much is advertisement on their own goddamn system? You know what I mean? Those who already know about it, though, are waiting. But I don't hear many newbies saying it's a highly anticipated. We'll see what the engagement is. Phil Spencer even said in the past, it's really hard to engage or to find out what's successful, and they're still learning as they go, right? I'm not saying it verbatimly, but that's what he said a roundabout way. Eclipse says, like I said, Hellblade is a very niche game, so that's probably what it is. Haven't played it. One, they're not going to be showing you two. Perhaps, but you would think they would try to at least show it like it's real estate space. Why not show it? Microsoft will continue to get harshly judged until they put on a banger of a game and makes people run. Yeah, but you know what it is, Water? Even if they put a banger of the game out, let's say Gears 6 comes out and it's just fucking amazing, right? People be like, well, that's about time, right? Then Fable comes out and they'll be like, well, okay, because that's the standard, right? The standard that we're waiting for is what we want. So when they hit that, they shouldn't be applauded about it. That's the standard. Mediocre is not a standard. I mean, to be fair, I do talk about Sony studios closing and Microsoft studios closing and any other studios that closing because I don't have a favorite here. You know what I mean? I just talk about the industry itself. You think the game that was big in Unreal Engine events, Song Game Awards, also used to sell series consoles, would get more than 10 days of marketing? That's what I'm saying, Krebsy. Ow. Just picked a scab off of my chest. Jesus Christ. Paul says, otherwise you lean into PC Game Pass? Who's that answer to? Did you say something above? Okay, you need consoles to sell Game Pass. You don't need consoles. No, here. Did you miss this earlier, Paul? Right? You don't need consoles, right? You need actual things. Their gaming revenue is up 9%. Their Xbox content plus services revenue is up 13%. Right? Their Windows OEM revenue is up 4%. Right? Their hardware sales are down. This is exactly right. Game Pass on consoles alone does not work. Game Pass on all the devices, okay, to get the masses out there has a better chance of working than just Game Pass on console. You don't need to sell consoles. You can play it on a phone. You can play it on a headset. You can play it on a television set. You can play it on a laptop. You can play it on your console, right? It's not about just consoles. You're absolutely right, though. If it was just consoles, they're failing. But they also abandoned consoles as the only primary thing that they're selling. They're selling the service, and they're selling it everywhere. Every screen. That's what they're going for. I just want a fun game with good story from Fable. Doesn't need to be a Baldur's Gate 3 level of story, lore, but it's also like it would be nice. Well, here's the thing, though, Adente. You know for a fact, come on, you know and I know that people will take and go, well, it's not as good as this. It's a good game, but it's not as good as this, right? In my opinion, Hellblade 2 will do okay with fans who know about it. It'll also beat this. Will also beat in a week. It'll be less than that. It's supposed to be the shortest game they've ever created. Within a month, because no one knows about it and don't care. I did this example yesterday, right? And those of you that saw maybe last night, you heard me say it in the live stream. This is how I think Game Pass works, right? And obviously, we don't know how Game Pass works because Phil Spencer himself said they don't really know what the template is. Everything's different. I'm going to assume, again, I'm assuming, doesn't mean it's right or wrong, it's just my opinion on how I think it works, okay? Game Pass works, let's say Microsoft came out with a game a month. So they came out with 12 games a year, just saying, not first party, just a new game coming on Game Pass every year or every month. Okay? Hellblade comes out this month, okay? Let's say the budget, do we know the budget of Hellblade 2? Let's see. The Hellblade 2, I don't know if we know the budget. Hellblade had a shoestring budget of $10 million. Okay, so let's say they doubled it. Okay, let's say they doubled the to $20 million. Okay, so $20 million, and it's a $30 game divided by 30. They need to sell 600. This is odd. They need to sell 666. That's a hell of a number. All right, so hell of a number because it's the devil's number, right? So 666,000 copies. Okay, so now if they sell based on the budget, now I'm doing basic math, right? We're doing basic math, right? I obviously know they only get a percentage and they have to pay the thing and they do this. We're just doing basic math just for the example. This is how Game Pass works in my head, okay? They put a game on for this month and they want the interaction of people to get Game Pass. Okay, and if they don't get the interaction with Game Pass, then they need to make the sales, right? So it's sales plus Game Pass. So if people come out and buy, sort of like Starfield, 2 million people bought Starfield, and the rest of the people played it on Game Pass, right? So if they come out and they need to sell 666,000 copies, okay, at $30 a pop, and they only sell 200,000, okay, at $30 a pop, well, they have to make the rest of it over on Game Pass. And for that is that someone brand new coming in going, hey, you know what? I'm going to get Game Pass for that $10, $12, $15, whatever it is. Okay. Now it's got to make 3 times the amount. So for instance, if Travis buys Hellblade for $30, that's $30. But now I need 3 people to get Game Pass to play Hellblade 2 on Game Pass. So that means El Nini, Big Mo, and myself now have to pay for Game Pass for that month, and that counts as 1 sale for Hellblade for that month. You understand what I'm saying? Right? Because it's $30, so you need 3 people to get Game Pass and play Hellblade that month to compensate for the sales of Hellblade just buying it at $30. So now you need 3 times the amount. So if they sold 200,000, they have 400,000 people left to pay, which means they now need 1.2 million people to pay Game Pass $10 to play Hellblade that month, and that's the engagement, just to break even. Just to break even. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? You guys understand what I'm saying? This one's 50 mil. Is it 50 mil, Mo? Is that true? Putting the hell in Hellblade. Hellblade seemed like a tech demo gameplay. It looked super bland. I agree. It looks like they're trying to sell Unreal Engine 5 more than they're trying to sell the game. If I buy Hellblade for $30, I just wasted $30. But you know what I'm saying, Travis. I'm just doing an example here. So if nobody buys it, right? If nobody buys it and the bare minimum is 666,000, they need to sell 3 times that on Game Pass. They have to have 3 times the amount of that number, okay, to look at that and go, okay, we broke even. So let's just say 1 million people. Let's say it's $1 million. It's $1 million. 1 million people have to play it, buy it. Well, now it would need to be 4 million people need to play it on Game Pass just to get back to the breaking point. And that goes different for every company because you don't know what the budget is, and we'll never know the budget. So we'll never know the exact numbers if it's successful. So when articles come out and say that Hi-Fi Rush was the best-selling game, it was very popular, 4 million people played it, okay. So based on my example, it was a $30 game, right? Was it 30? It was $40. I think it was $30. No, was Hi-Fi Rush? It was $30. Okay. It was $30 for Hi-Fi Rush. So let's say 4 million people played it. Well, maybe the budget was 20 million, like a Hellblade. Well, they needed 4 to 5 million people to play Hi-Fi Rush, or 6 million people to on Game Pass to break even. Probably didn't do that. Didn't Hi-Fi Rush have 20 million people play it? I don't believe so. 2 million. Okay. I think it was 4 million players. I'm pretty sure it was 4 million. Hi-Fi Rush. Total number of players in Hi-Fi Rush exceeds... I thought it was 4 million, if I'm not mistaken. Hi-Fi Rush reaches more than 2 million player ups, 3 million player ups. That's a couple days later. 2 million players, 3 million players. I could have sworn there was an article for 4 million players. We'll say 3 million because that's the highest number I can see right now. But I could have sworn there was an article for 4 million. But we'll give it 3 million. Papa says 30. Hellblade 1 was made for about 10 million. The first game was a resounding success with 1 million sales, meaning about 60 million in sales, meaning about 50 million in income. Did it sell for $60 back then? I don't think it sold for $60. Morning, Wonder Rose. I don't think it was $60. It was a PlayStation exclusive back then, wasn't it? Didn't it come out on PlayStation first? No, it was $40 back then, I think. Yeah, I think it was a smaller game. Yeah, Moonhead says first Hellblade was held back by PlayStation Time exclusive. Yeah, and it was only on PlayStation exclusive for a time being. Does the 10 million factor in marketing too? No, Jason. Yeah, the 10 million I think is just the budget of the game. Yeah, it was 30. There you go. So again, when people look at, let's go back to Hi-Fi Rush, right? Hi-Fi Rush was a success by the company. They were excited about what they did, but as the corporate world looks at it, they look at it and go, okay, we put it out there. No marketing, by the way. Zero marketing for Hellblade. They literally dropped it, okay, and said, here's the game, boom, and they dropped it, which is pretty impressive if you think about it. They had zero marketing. So whatever the game cost, and there was no marketing. Now, there was marketing afterwards, but there's also a lot of word of mouth. A lot of people wrote articles. A lot of people played the game. Yours truly played it at day one when it came out as well, right? Very good game. Very, very good game. Okay? So there was zero advertisement. But then shortly after, the developer left. The head of the studio left, right? Well, that means something was going on. Anytime you see a head of a studio leave, you got to question why. We don't know when or why, right? But when you hear after the fact, you're like, oh, well, he left, right? We see it all the time. We see it all the time when the company people leave. There's some reason, right? Dan Houser, he left Grand Theft Auto, right? The guys from Rocksteady, they left, okay? Lots of studio heads leave a studio to go to another studio. Why? We don't know until after because we're just the peasants, right? We're just the peasants. We're just the gamers. You really shouldn't know this stuff until after it comes out and it leaked out and stuff like that. But something happened, right? So something happened. So now the report, again, right? Let me bring this up, right? If this is true, right? And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but if this is true, Tango Games works shutting down. But the reason Shinji, the founder of the studio, left, okay, and took most of the staff with him. Now, we do know there was a staff that was left there, okay? But do we know if that studio was even still running? Now, as peons, as consumers, we don't know nothing unless it's told to us, unless it's leaked to us, unless it's, right? So Tango Games was just a shell of a company at that point because they're not doing anything with it, right? Right? L, if you were here from the beginning, you would see the context that I'm saying it in. And as I'm speaking now, I didn't say this is true. Nothing out of my mouth said it was true, okay? As I'm saying it right now, I said, if this is true, was it even a company still? Right? So don't come in here and say, come on, Mike, Reddit. Like, listen to the words coming out of my mouth. Stop coming into my channel and think I'm like everybody else on YouTube trying to clickbait and stuff. Listen to the words coming out of my mouth. Never said it was real. I said, if this is true, you could just rewind just a little bit and listen to me say it. Maybe there was just a small team left to port the Switch and PlayStation 5. Yes, and also the little update they did, right? They did a hardcore mode that they updated a little bit later after launch, right? Altern says, hear your words out of your mouth. What are we, crazy? Wait, what words coming out of your mouth? Am I muted? Is this thing on? Is this thing on? I'm just tapping the... Hello? Hello? Xbox has no presence in Japan, so I can believe it. Well, here's the thing. They don't have their own studio with preference in Japan, but they did sign a deal with Square Enix, right? Hence why Final Fantasy games are coming to Xbox. Not Final Fantasy 16? Not yet. Right? You gotta give it time, Travis. They just got 14 on the Xbox. 10 years late. Xbox does have presence in Japan with the Xbox in Japan with the Xbox PlayStation 5. Well, that's true as well because now they have Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, and what was the last game? Oh, Grounded. That's true. They don't have the presence on the Xbox. Yeah, has a partnership with Sega as well. Do you think people are lining up to buy Pentiment? No. No. I think Pentiment also probably only cost them a couple mil. Like, how much do you think that game cost them to make? Right? And again, based on my example of what I think Game Pass works, if it cost them $5 million to make, then they would only need, you know, at, was it $10? Right? $15? How much is Pentiment? I don't even know. Okay, it's not my type of game. But they would have enough people that played it, got that $10 a month for that one game. Even if they bought it or not, they had Game Pass for that month. If they logged in and played it for 10 seconds or played it for 10 hours, that counts towards that. And they go, oh, this is successful. Quintar, thank you very much for the 5 gifted memberships, for the continued support. Appreciate that. Why would Microsoft continue to advertise Xbox if Xbox is done and shutting down? Right. It's not shutting down. I don't understand where these people think it's all shutting down. So now let's go to first story.
Becoming a member.
The first story after the gifted memberships come through, and I appreciate that very much. Altern says, no idea. It does not look like an expensive game, and they themselves told it was a Game Pass game more than a standalone. Right. Because right now they have to try to put as much value, right? They have to put as much value into that Game Pass thing, right? And think about the value that they keep adding to Game Pass, right? Even though you're paying for online, you're not paying for online anymore if you get the Ultimate, right? It's included in the whole thing. But they pretend it's not there. You're getting those 100 games. You get a discount when you buy games. What else do they do? You can get rewards and stuff like that. There's a bunch of stuff they try to lump into that. Right? They're trying to make it to a point where, you can play MMOs, right? They're trying to make as much value as possible because look at what Amazon's done, right? The value for Amazon Prime, just the shipping alone, is valuable as hell. So when they put Prime Video on there and they put all these other stuff on there, you get discounts on rentals or whatnot. It's that shipping that people can't get away from. I want to cancel my Amazon Prime, but the shipping's there, and if I don't get the shipping, then it costs me more for one package coming in than if I just, you know what I mean? So they make it where you have to depend on it. So that's what Game Pass is trying to do right now. They're trying to do as much as possible to put value into Game Pass. So once you're in that ecosystem, you don't have a disk drive, hence why they're potentially coming out with another Xbox Series X with no disk drive. Once you're in that ecosystem, you're stuck in that ecosystem. Eclipse says, you do understand that getting on Game Pass means that they get money, and then you'll still get the sell on the other platforms. Way better than what PlayStation does. Right, Eclipse. And this is why it's not just this. It's this plus this, right? Game Pass alone on Xbox alone doesn't work. But Game Pass on all these devices, plus the sales on other devices, is what they're trying to do. The sales on PlayStation and Nintendo and PC is to subsidize what they need to get on Game Pass. Quintar says, I slipped and bought a PlayStation 5 Slim for Rise of Ronin and Stellar Blade. Glad I did. Awesome. How much was the Slim version? How much was the Slim version? Was it the same price? Still $500. They charge the same price for the box. Regular PlayStation Slim, 500. 500. Prosty says people don't understand what Microsoft is really trying to do with Game Pass. They're doing what anything else like Netflix is doing, right? Just they're trying to make value. I said it yesterday in Discord as well. How many of you ask for a Kleenex and not a tissue? A lot of you probably ask for a tissue, but my point is they're trying to make a brand, right? Like a lot of people don't call soda soda, they call it Coke, even though Coke is a brand and not the actual type of thing, right? When you want to blow your nose, you say, hey, can I have a Kleenex? Kleenex is a brand, not the tissue, right? A tissue is a tissue, but Kleenex is a type of tissue, okay? So that's what Game Pass and Microsoft is trying to do. They're trying to make Game Pass a brand, right? Just like Netflix, when you're like, oh, there's a movie coming out. Is it on Netflix? That's the first thing people ask. Is it on Netflix? That's what they want you to do with Game Pass, right? Game coming out. Is it on Game Pass? They want Game Pass to be that brand. Right now, we look at it and go, nah, that's never going to happen. But now, instead of going to the search and searching something on the internet, you say, Google it, right? They've embedded it into your skull so much, now you Google it. You don't search it. The word search is Google. Who says, do an internet search? They, just Google it. Brand recognition, man. That's what they're trying to do. Unfortunately, bros, on both systems you need it, right? My biggest problem is these games are getting so goddamn big. Now it's a unit of measure. Instead of saying it's 1 terabyte, you say it's 4 Call of Duties. That's a unit of measure. A game too big. Caveman is mad. All right. Come on, Mike. Bing it. Is Bing still a thing? I'm being dead serious. Is Bing still a thing? Are you guys still using Windows phones? You guys using Windows phones? Jesus. Some of you guys are still using Zunes. Nobody uses Bing, but it's real. It's now called Copilot. Oh, is it? Bing is still a thing. People use it in Windows. Windows phones too. Come on. El Dente says, I really do miss my Windows phone. Bing only exists these days thanks to ChatGPT. Star-Lord is the only person with a Zune. Not true. I guarantee you there's at least one person, Jason, in this room that has a Zune. All right, let's go to this first story, right? So as Xbox handles rumors swirl, Microsoft starts testing console Wi-Fi features 10 years too late. This comes from Windows Central. If you like what I do here, we read stories live on the air for the very first time. No dialogue is written down in any way, shape, or form. I give you my thoughts and opinions based on the article that we've read. Then we have a conversation with chat. Okay, so if you like this type of stuff, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Okay, so as Xbox handheld rumors swirl, Microsoft starts a testing console with Wi-Fi features 10 years too old. As Microsoft is working on this feature that's been requested for years, starting with the latest Alpha Skip Ahead Insider build. Xbox consoles have the ability to save the details of multiple wireless networks. This means that you can move your console to a new network and connect to the internet without having the network's password again. That's been a thing for years. I'll continue, though. While some people set up the Xbox console once and leave it connected to the same wireless network forever, many users move their Xbox X or Series X to different locations, requiring them to connect to various wireless networks. Now, someone may move their console between homes they split time between, take console to a friend's house, or use a device like the X screen to make an Xbox console more portable. There's also some people who have multiple networks in their home. I've also seen people split networks for different tasks, such as the one set aside or large downloads for another for everyday use. Now, regardless of specific reasons of the individual, it's clear that there's a demand to save details multiple wireless networks on Xbox console. Microsoft has finally heard the feedback and acted on it. I'm confused here because I always take my Series S, and I've had it for 4 years. And when I stay with my mother-in-law, when we go down to visit for the holidays, I used to take it. Now I take the headset this year, but I would move the console, okay, and it would just remember the Wi-Fi, and then I move it to my mom's house, and it remembers the Wi-Fi. I don't have to sign back in; it just works. So I'm very confused that they're just implementing this now, but yet I've never had to put another thing in. But hey, what do I know? Okay. Here's a snippet from the Xbox Alpha Skip Ahead release notes, released that wireless connectivity. If you ever connected your Xbox console to more than one wireless network, we have good news. The network settings will now allow users to remember up to 10 password-protected wireless networks. To get started, head to Settings, General Network Settings, and Manage Wireless Networks. I don't remember ever signing in. Maybe I'm crazy. Once you have some wireless networks, remember you have to navigate back to the Manage Wireless Networks and select Manage Remembered Wireless Networks to activate to forget them. This is hardly a new functionality for the console. In fact, it's possible to save multiple wireless networks on the Xbox 360, but Microsoft removed that option over the years. only bring back some of the missed rumors that Xbox handheld. I wonder if it's because I'm part of the insider program and stuff like that I still had that. I'm very confused by this. One way to look at this feature entering the testing is better than late than never. People are also asked the ability to save multiple wireless networks for Xbox console for years. Rival consoles, such as PlayStation 5, support the feature already, as does PlayStation 4, but even older consoles are also able to save multiple wireless networks. Heck, the Nintendo DS did this over 10 years ago. So why hasn't Microsoft added this functionality until now? So I see. They're using this as to say their case that, well, they're doing this for the Wi-Fi for their handheld that they're coming out with. I don't know, guys. Do you still think there's a handheld coming out from Microsoft? I can't imagine that they would put money into more of a device where they can just use devices that are already out there. I don't know. I suppose there's a chance the Xbox team has just been busy making these new dashboards, but I think it's more likely the ability to save multiple wireless networks wasn't a priority until recently. With the gaming handhelds growing in popularity and Microsoft asking gamers for their thoughts on portable consoles, there's a chance that Microsoft is lining up the console features for gaming on the go. So Xbox CEO Phil Spencer said he thinks that the handheld PCs are almost an extension to the Xbox console. Spencer travels with Lenovo Legion, goes and talks about gaming handhelds in an exclusive interview with also the managing editor of Jez Gordon to separate the piece. Gordon argues that Xbox handheld is absolutely necessary for Microsoft. And I don't know, man. I just feel like, okay, let me put two examples in front of you, right? In one scenario, Microsoft makes this handheld. It comes out and it bombs, okay? It doesn't do good. Then you have people shitting on Microsoft going, yet another console that they can't sell, right? Underperforming, underselling, not working very correctly, right? So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, right? The other scenario is Microsoft doesn't come out with a handheld, but they team up with the companies that make handhelds, and that you can play all their games and all their things on the handheld devices that other people already make, and then they get their cut of that extra stuff. Which one do you think is more likely to happen? Do you think it's more likely to happen that Microsoft is not making a handheld and teaming up with other people that make handhelds? Or do you think that Microsoft is making their own handheld to then potentially spend money on research and development, spend money on shipping these things, losing money on these things, by the way, because they lose money on the hardware, okay? And yet, just to get people to get into what their primary thing is, which is Game Pass and playing everywhere. I don't know. I'm really sold on the non-handheld that they can just piggyback on for other handhelds. This is what Microsoft did with the operating system back in the day. They didn't literally make the computers. They just made the software on the computers, okay? So the tech giant does appear to at least to open up the idea as shown as a survey sent out to gamers asking about the handheld console. If feedback shows demand for the Xbox handheld, or Microsoft can find a way to create a unique device that stands out from the Steam Deck or ROG Ally. The other portable consoles, there's a chance that Microsoft will release an Xbox handheld at some point. The only way I see them making a handheld, the only way, is if they do what the Switch did. A powerful handheld that I can stick in a dock that is now a console, and then I can take it on the go. But if it's just a standalone, where it's just a handheld, like the Steam Deck, and then there's their console, I don't know, man. That's just one more hoop you have to jump through, because if a game comes out from Microsoft on their first-party title, and they have the parity thing going on with the SX and now the handheld, the handheld Microsoft Xbox, that's going to be really shitty, because now it's going to be held back not only by the S, but also by the handheld, okay? So while it's certainly useful to be able to save the details on multiple wireless networks on console like Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S, the feature is more important on handheld consoles. A Steam Deck competitor from the Xbox team would be taken all over the place by users, making the ability to save multiple wireless networks and I don't know. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments section down below. Do you believe that the reason they're adding this wireless, where you can add up to 10 wireless networks, is because they're working on the wireless handheld? Let me know in the comments section down below. Do you believe that Microsoft is coming out with this handheld sooner rather than later? Or do you think it's a hybrid type of what the Switch is, where the Switch is a handheld and you put it in the dock? Let me know in the comments section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe. And if you like what I do here, please check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. All right, let me see what you guys are saying. Hey, 30, remember the old saying that we use on a daily, make a game, sell a game? This applies to everyone, not just Microsoft. That's exactly right. I don't care who makes the game. I just want a game. I don't want microtransactions. I don't want season passes. I don't want battle passes. I just want you to make a game, sell that game, and then if it's a good game, because you market it well, people buy it. What's that guy from, and gosh darn it, people like me, right? From Saturday Night Live. I heard rumors that the handheld is running full-blown Windows. You think the Portal was a waste? This also be a huge waste with the Game Pass and everything already. What are they trying to do with this? I don't know. I showed you guys yesterday, like, you could literally play Xbox games right on my phone. I get a backbone, put it in, boom, handheld. And everyone's like, well, I don't want to play on my cell phone. Okay, great. You can play on your tablet. Well, I don't want to carry the tablet around. It's like, what the fuck do you want? Right? This is too big. This is too small. Like, I'm sorry, Goldilocks. Something's going to happen. Right? They gotta put it on a device that too big, too small, too thick, too skinny. Paul says, I don't think there'll be an Xbox handheld. Argus says, brand recognition doesn't matter. This is why when people say Xbox, it's going away or closing, it says that Microsoft is not leaving the game industry. The Xbox has much name recognition to try to use any of it. Any of other name or shut down Xbox down. They're not shutting down Xbox. L says, definitely not necessary. They already done that? I bought the ROG Ally, and it was partnered with Xbox in the game of 3 months of Game Pass. Yeah, why would they go out and make their own? I don't know. In the Xbox Business Update podcast, they teased a new hardware product by the end of this year, from what I understood. Yeah, but that could also mean a new product, a new hardware product. It can mean two things. It can mean a different Xbox with no disk drive. It could also mean the little Keystone. That's a new device, right? Or it could mean a handheld. Or it could be a ball, right? It could be anything, right? Any kind of device that they have. Steam Deck does have a dock. I could see them doing an Xbox Series S2. That's more mobile Switch-like device. I just don't... And I will say, when they show it a month from now, if they do, I'll be like, man, I'm completely blown away that they have a handheld. Okay? I just don't see, because of the sales of the consoles, okay? And then coming in late to the party of the handhelds, I can't imagine them making the same mistake. I can't imagine them making the same mistake. Now, don't get me wrong. They could make a handheld, and it could be the best handheld, and all of a sudden it makes super sales, and it surpasses a whole bunch of stuff. But they came in late to the console wars, and they've been third place ever since, right? They came close, but they've been last place all the time, okay? Like, Nintendo literally had to make a garbage can of Wii U, right, to compete, and then only then did they make better than Nintendo. Other than that, both companies have always been behind Nintendo with game sales and console sales. I can't imagine them coming out with a handheld and then going, oh, yeah, we dropped the ball on this one. I don't want to carry my tablet around, but I will carry around a Steam Deck that's basically a tablet. Make it make sense. Does it matter, Mike? Does what matter? I don't think the Portal was a waste at all. As a dad and work full time, I love my Portal. I am playing and beating more games now than ever. Here's the thing I just don't understand about the Portal, Rose, that it's not a standalone gaming device, right? You have to have a PlayStation to have a Portal. You can't just buy the Portal. I think that's the weirdest thing to me as far as a handheld device. An X-ball to tell my friend, want to play Starfield with my ball? It could be a Neuralink chip that they put in your brain and projects on the wall. I mean, sure. Baller move would be to team up with the Steam and their Steam Deck. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're already go with the people that are already in the industry. Come on, bro. You can imagine that. I can't. I can't imagine them making a handheld. The Portal was successful, according to Jim Ryan. According to Jim Ryan, also the PSVR 2 was also successful. Just saying. I went to Best Buy like a week ago. It was the third best-selling product on the site behind AirPods and MacBook Air. The Portal, I mean. But that is such a weird stat. And here's why. Right? You went to Best Buy last week, and it was the third best-selling product on the site behind AirPods and MacBook Air. Meaning, the AirPods could have sold 10 million units. The MacBook could have sold 10. And then the Portal could have sold 2. And that was the third best-selling thing. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, that's what they say, Rose. But they also said the PSVR 2 was also successful. That's all I'm saying. I'm not denying that the Portal was successful. I'm just saying they also said the PSVR 2 was successful, which we know wasn't. It might have been successful in that period of time, and then it fell off the cliff. And I'm not saying that's what the Portal did. I'm just saying it's still sold out everywhere. Again, L, if you only put 5 in stock, because this is what happened with the Switch, certain companies would only get like 10 or 5, and then it would sell out. And then they would put another 5 or 10 inside stock, and then they would sell. It's not like they're putting thousands and millions of them in stores. Like I said, shit talk it all you want. I absolutely love mine. I'm not. There's no shit talking. There's literally no shit talking. All I said was that I see it's very strange that that you need a PlayStation 5 to use it. That's all I said. If you want to say that's shit talking, I mean that's literally just fact. I don't know how fact can be shit talking. It only makes 10,000 units and sells 10,000 successful at the context. In general use, most people use it has to sell a ton, not just a lot. I limit you set. Right, and we don't know what that number is. Right? So when someone says it's selling out, and they don't share those numbers, they just tell you it's selling out. But it's a very generic statement. And that goes across all boards, not just for Sony. Again, Hi-Fi Rush, 3 million people played it. Starfield, 10 million people played it. Where's the sales numbers? Right? You can tell me how many people played it, how many people paid for it. The Portal's a niche and successful only on the context of the niche product. It's not a general use of successful. Again, I'm not here to tell you what's success or not success. I'm just saying that, they don't share the numbers. So for them to say it's successful, which they did for the PlayStation VR 2, okay, and then they recently said it's not successful, hence why they're trying to make it work for PC, because it wasn't successful. Right? Hell, Phil Spencer said the game was successful, and then the studio closed down. So again, both companies lie because corporate doesn't care about your feelings. They got to tell you stuff because they have to make the investors seem like they're getting their money back. More of a handheld than Xbox has? Oh, right. Again, see, this is the mantra, right? Mo comes in and says a thing. Travis says a thing. Rose says a thing. Even though Rose didn't say a thing. Okay? And you guys have this, like, tribalism with plastic boxes. It's so cute. So cute. Companies would never admit to that something, to that flop. Of course not. Of course not. But you'll have people defend. Oh, well. I own a Portal, and I'm here to tell you what's successful and what's not. I don't like Sony. What? Companies lie? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they all work together. It just makes sense now. Yeah. Wait, so I said it... it's that it's no handheld. I mean, technically it is a handheld, right? You hold it in your hands. The handheld, Mo. It's not a traditional handheld, right? Like you can't play, like you could buy a Portal, but you're not going to be playing games. You have to have a PlayStation 5 and the Portal, and then you can play your games. Hi-Fi being successful, but was also made with a small team of 20 people. Much of who moved on to the founder's new dev team. Right. Which one? No, and I think it was 65 people, was it not? It was 65 people. It wasn't 20 people. I know for a fact that any meeting Phil Spencer has soon, as he gets off the phone, he'll call Jim. I'm just speaking for me personally, and like I said, as a dad, it works 60 hours plus a week, and I give me the ability to play more. And I get that, and I understand what you're saying, Rose, and I'm not disagreeing with you in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying that I find it strange that you have to have a $500 box before you can use a $200 device. That's what I'm saying. It's strange. And even if the people that come in and say afterwards, well, they're adding it later, that's also a problem. That people bought the product before it was a fully featured thing, right? Which I think they're going to make a separate console for that, a separate handheld for that, personally. But we'll see what happens when it happens. Portal is the most useless handheld on the market, the mainstream. It does the least and is the least convoluted of all of them. The time to release a handheld PlayStation 4 would also have been 2019, 2020. I think Sony has also get the TC or TSMC's 3. What is that? What is that, Paul? What is the TSMC's? I don't know what that is. I'm not putting it together in my brain. No, to get possibly more affected chips that also play PlayStation 5 games portably. Wait, once the Portal can play games standalone, like if I could go out right now and buy a Portal without buying a PlayStation 5, success. Right? But if I have to buy a $500 box and then buy a $200 device, I mean, that's genius. Switch charges you $300 for the thing that puts in the dock, and then you take it out and you can play. Sony charges you for $500 and then sells you a separate thing for $200. They get $700 out of you. Very smart. It's just a handheld. It just took it to shotgun and floor. Correct, but you have to have a PlayStation. You can't just buy the Portal. These are facts. You can't just buy the Portal and start playing PlayStation games. You can tell me all the scenarios that you're using it for. All I'm saying is you have to buy a PlayStation. You have to buy a $500 PlayStation before you buy the $200 Portal. Do I have to buy a $2,000 PC to use the Steam Deck? Do I have to buy a separate Nintendo to use the Switch? If the new Steam Deck is on the horizon, just get that instead. The modded Portal would play old games native for Sony, have patched and blocked it. Oh, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturer Company. Got it. The AMD's partner for the chip manufacturers, the 3 nanometer size of the chip would mean that the chip consumes less electricity and generates less heat. Got it. Thank you for educating me. Yes, I know that's fact. They never sold it as any different. I didn't say they did. I just said it's weird that you have to do it. That's all I said. We don't need to go farther down this thing, right? I never said they lied to you in any way, shape, or form. I just said I thought it was weird that you have to have a $500 box before you can use it. It would fly off the shelves if it was just the device. If you could just buy the device and play games, it would fly off the shelves. But there's a $500 barrier there. Well, will these mobiles require you to link accounts? Ramsey coming in. Or is it dead on arrival? Yeah. It's already flying off the shelves? If it's flying off the shelves, El, where's the sales numbers? Is there sales numbers? PlayStation Portal sales continue to impress. Okay. Are they gonna tell me what that is? According to Matt Pescatella, well, let me put it on the screen for you, right? Accessories spending grew by 25% in the U.S. This is also by this is March 22nd, so a couple months ago. Okay, which I think we read this on stream. Okay, so Matt Pescatella says accessories spend grew 25% in the U.S. during the month of February, helped by 14% increase in spending on the gamepads and remote play devices. The latter of which includes the PlayStation Portal, which is the play devices. The Portal edged past, no pun intended, the DualSense Edge in the month of February, and however, the DualSense Edge remains the best-selling accessory in 2024 year to date. Okay, how much is that? What's the number? What's the number that they're telling me that it's sold? Again, I don't know. There has to be a base factor. We got to figure out what X is. Okay, telling me that the U.S. during the month of February helped by a 14% increase in spending on gamepads and remote play devices. The latter of which includes the PlayStation Portal included in that. So there's other things in there, in that number. Okay, the Portal's Edge passed, no pun intended, the DualSense Edge in the month of February. However, the DualSense Edge remains the best-selling accessory of 2024 year to date. So what the article's saying is that in the month of February, that the Portal was part of the remote play devices, which is included in that. Meaning there's other things in that number. And yet the DualSense Edge remains the best-selling accessory of 2024, but the Portal in them are up 14%. There is no number there that tells me that it's flying off the shelves. In no way, shape, or form. Okay? It's pretty impressive feat considering that many express skepticism. I only have skepticism because you don't tell me a number. So I can't be excited about something if there was no number to tell me what that number is. The device says with that possibility. But there's no number, right? You have no clue how many was put in the stores or where. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Right? A lot of you come in here and say that it's flying off the shelves. Great. You know what's flying off the shelves? Inside of Fallout 76, I'm putting bobbleheads in my comic book shop. They're flying off the shelves. All 5 of them. All 5 bobbleheads that I put on that shelf, they're flying off that shelf. I can't keep them in stock. I gotta go out and stock. I gotta restock it. I gotta get more bobbleheads to put on the shelf because I can't keep them in stock. From last week when I played, we're up 56% of flying off the shelves, right? I told you more information than they told you because I told you I had 5 on the shelf, right? They didn't tell you they had 5 off the shelf. Now, let me tell you the exact same story again. Man, you know what's flying off the shelves? Inside of Fallout 76, I have bobbleheads. I can't keep them on the shelf. They're just flying off the shelf. You don't know how many I have, but they're flying off the shelves. There's a 56% increase from last week when I played. Amazing. Shelves. Just show me a number. I will believe if I see facts. If the facts tell me they sold 3 million units within 1 month, I'll be like, damn, that's good. Good. But until that moment happens, there's no numbers. You could have sold 0 1 month, 1 the next month, and 100% more profit. We're like, whoa. It went skyrocket. Can't keep them on the shelf. That's right, Krebsy. 56%, 30 selling broken bobbleheads. Right. Speaking of broken, let's talk about Redfall, shall we? If you guys like what I do here, We cover news stories each and every single day, Monday through Thursday, from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. I read the article on stream for the very first time, give you my thoughts and opinions on this based on what we read, not based on other people's opinions from YouTube, not based on Twitter. I literally post a story in our Discord. You can also submit stories in our Discord under Submit Stories, okay? And then I read those stories live on air and then give you my opinion based on that. Again, based on what we read in the article, not outside sources from everything else, just based on the article. I know it's hard for people to concept this after the fact. Okay. So if you like what I do, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you like to do, go above and beyond that, you become a member as little as $5. And we appreciate you very much. All right. So Redfall Studio was reportedly working on an offline mode for May, release before closure. Sounds familiar. Just based on the title. Marvel's Avengers was working on an offline mode. Suicide Squad, still working on an offline mode. You still checking in with Rocksteady. Rocksteady, you still working on that offline mode? Just want to make sure. Okay? Because this studio's done. And you have to opt in to get a refund on certain things. Okay? Just want to make sure Rocksteady, you still working on that offline mode, right? Just checking. Okay. Redfall Studios was reportedly working on an offline mode for May release before closure, with the Hero Pass content set for Halloween. Okay. Arcane Austin, one of the 4 studios closed as part of the shock announcement, okay, by Microsoft earlier today, was reportedly working on a major update for the embattled vampire shooter Redfall, and was set to introduce an offline mode this month. Okay, that's according to IGN's Wesley Yinpuli, who reports Arcane Austin was working on DLC that updates for the game until very recently. These include features and promise as part of the Redfall long-awaited Hero Pass and more general updating, adding an offline mode. Now, as per IGN, Redfall's Hero Pass was set to add 2 new characters this Halloween. This Halloween. Jesus Christ. Which is like a year and a half after when people paid $120 for that thing. Okay? Almost a year and a half after the game's critically panned launch, while offline mode was also due, releasing sometime this month until Microsoft closure decision put an end for those plans. Okay. Last year, Redfall director Harvey Smith told Eurogamer Arcane Austin was working actively to remove the game's hugely unpopular always online requirement when people strictly in single-player mode, and features failures to launch following Arcane's closure raises questions about Redfall's future. Should Microsoft take the next step in pulling the servers offline? Okay. Today's studio closure, which also has been confirmed to impact the Arcane Austin, Hi-Fi Rush, and the Evil Within Studio Tango Gameworks, Mighty Doom developer Alpha Dog Games, and Roadhouse Studios, has been met with a widespread condemnation. Okay. Arcane Lion Studios and co-director even took to social media to describe the move as a fucking gut stab. Quote, fucking gut stab. I didn't get quoted, but you could also put the F in capital letters. I mean, come on. Give it some more emphasis. Fucking gut stab. Okay. Since then, former Blizzard president Mike Ibarra has moved to defend Xbox Phil Spencer, insisting, I know this hurts him as much as anyone else. Yeah, but let's be honest here. You gotta be a different type of person, right? There's people that work for companies, and then there's people that are up higher. And it's almost let me put it in a world of being on a farm. Okay, if you don't live on a farm and you have a pet that dies, gut wrenching, right? Still gut wrenching. But being on a farm with thousands of animals around you, and because people eat the cows and the ducks and the chickens, you get desensitized real fast with certain things, right? So I can imagine that Phil Spencer being up at the top, that listening to all the bullshit from his uppers to come down to him, and then he goes down to other people, right? That he gets desensitized to a lot of stuff. I'm sure it's not easy for him to hear that people are losing their jobs, but at the same time, he's got to keep that face. He's got to keep that. And this goes to Jim Ryan when he was here, and any other CEO for any other company. When stuff happens, those guys up in those positions in any kind of corporate world are cut from a different cloth, man. They have to have that desensitized situation where no matter what happens, they got to keep their cool. They got to stay on course. They got to stay on course, right? I mean, look at our president of the United States over the years, right? Obama came in. He had a dark set of hair, and by the time he left, he was gray, right? All of them. Stressful jobs, stressful things, right? When Phil came in, he was like $160. Now he's like pushing like 270, okay? He's like overweight. He's traveling a lot. It takes toll on you. This is not excuses. I'm just saying they're cut from a different cloth, okay? Okay, so, yeah, that's it. Look, this doesn't surprise me. What surprises me is that Hi-Fi Rush, based on the information they told us, that 4 million people played the game, or I'm sorry, 3 million people played the game. Very successful, right? Very successful. You're like, man, Tango Games is closing down. Hi-Fi Rush was a great hit. And as I started my stream, telling people if it was such a great game, and I liked it, I bought it. I said this earlier in the stream, I bought it. If everyone's in a shock and an awe, right? They're like, oh my God, I can't believe Hi-Fi Rush closed. Show the receipts. Did you buy it? Did you play it? There's a lot of people out there that want to say that it was a great game, but yet for some reason, if it was so great, and I think it's great, by the way, where's the masses that all played it? They didn't. They didn't. And then it comes down to a business sense, right? Make a game, sell a game. You want to like a game? They promote a game. You buy the game. You play the game. Buy a game, play a game. They make a game, sell a game. That's the old school way, okay? If you don't buy a game, then, or support it in some way. If you bought it on Game Pass and canceled your Game Pass, or played it for 5 seconds and didn't play it, but it's the greatest game ever created, well, obviously it didn't make money for them. Hence why the corporation doesn't care if Tom, Dick, and Jane, and Sarah, and Kenny all work for the company. The company doesn't think like that. The company thinks that this red line didn't go up. That game and that studio is not making money for us. Peace out. And this is what is the bad part about the corporate world, right? People on the higher ups, the people on the outside, it's easy for them to say, well, he needs to get fired, and this is ridiculous, and this is always happening. You can go back and look at studios closing down every single year that since I've been playing video games, okay? More so now because there's more studios, more employees, more companies consolidating. We don't like consolidation. I've said that for years and years, okay? I wasn't rooting for Activision Blizzard to get bought by Microsoft, but I also wasn't fighting it because I know it's going to happen regardless of what I think or what you think. It's going to happen. So I was shocked that Tango Games, based on the wording that they said that it was a very successful game, they closed down. But I ain't shocked about Redfall. Redfall was a broken, buggy, half-ass attempt of a game, and they should be ashamed of themselves. I said this last year. I'll say it again right now. It is still $70 right now on the store. This game was a piece of shit when it came out. It wasn't even a game when it launched, okay? And for people to be like, I can't believe they're closing Arcane, and they didn't even lose their job. They literally moved the people from Arcane Studios into another studio, right? They made a shit game, and they got moved. Where the other people made a great game, and for some reason, they're completely gone, or majority of them are gone, right? But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Are you shocked that Redfall and the studio is no longer around? Are you shocked that Tango Games is moved potentially before they even lost their jobs? Okay, because most of the studio probably left with the founder of the company that left last year. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe. If you like what I do here, please make sure you check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. All right. Let's see. You like that segue, Altern? I know. I've been doing this a while. The portal sold out a bunch of times. It's doing a lot better than a lot of people thought. I like the whole generic statement there, Roadkill. Appreciate it. Working offline mode means a game's done. Suicide Squad. Altern says, if you only stock 1,000 products and sold out, of course, it's not doing too much on them. Yeah, we don't know the sales numbers of that. It's an eternal limited quantity in limited locations. Anything can sell out. And if you are also expecting 10,000 to sell, and 10,000 does sell, then the success in that context, but in overall, it's a con. Or context, that ain't nothing. Suicide Squad is just offline, period. Nice, Water. Nice. This is why when we say it's successful, we respond to it's successful for what it is, but only successful with those extra words at the end of it. Altered says Mikey Barra, like Phil, is hurt. Still working and earning millions of dollars, but he's hurt. No one thinks about the CEOs. Think about the feelings of while people lose their jobs. Here's the thing, right? Put yourself in anyone's position that has anyone here, or I should say not as anyone here, is anyone here in a position of power at the company they work for? Do you have the power to fire or hire people in your business? That's not stress. It's just too much good cheesecake. Exactly right, Solomon. If you sell out your stock, regardless of the amount, is successful. Unless it doesn't sell past a certain point, then it's not successful, right? That number is successful to only a certain point. My YouTube videos could be skyrocketing and be the best, fastest to that point, but then it flatlines after that point. That content is no longer successful. It stalls out. So you saying that it's successful, it might be successful for a short period of time, but the overall success, hence, again, I'll bring it back up, the PlayStation VR 2 was successful when it came out, but then it went stale and became unsuccessful. Hence why they're moving it to PC, so they can get more people to buy their headset. Companies are sharks, and you're consuming your debt, and that's all there is. Well, let's see. 343. 343 needs to shut down as well, and they ruined Halo. 343 was gutted. Regardless of a few individuals enjoy the device, many people have put it down. None talk about it, device online or publicly. It's the least capable device with the most barriers of entry at all. I think they're just kind of waiting for it to do what they said it was going to do, right? Which they, after the fact, they said they're going to open it up so you can play games. But until that happens, it's a weird device. Why is it still $70? Why isn't it free? I mean, technically it is on Game Pass, Water. For a low price of $10, you also could play Redfall. Sega sunk $70 million into that and shut it down. Microsoft should have had the decency to not release Redfall. Well, the problem is, Paul, they bought Bethesda ZeniMax. They didn't buy Redfall. Redfall just was a thing that came with it. And they said, we need stuff to put on Game Pass. Let's put it on Game Pass. Right? Redfall was just an extra. It was like, hey, thanks for buying us for $7.2 billion. We're going to toss in this other game, Redfall, for you. And they're like, cool. Hey, thanks. We'll put it on Game Pass. I do. I had to fire somebody last week, unfortunately. Feels like shit, doesn't it, Rose? And it never gets easier. But at the same time, you kind of put your feelings aside because you have to do what you got to do. Because your higher-ups told you had to do it, right? I read enough stories in the generic no information statements. We don't need the chat spout off generic information statements as well. Argus says, if Halo needs modern live service monetization system to be viable and to continue to be made, then I'd rather not make any more because it clearly inhibits the game. Agreed. I don't think they're going to add cloud capability to the current device. I've always said since before it launched that I don't think it's capable of it. And if they added capability, it would be. I think, Argus, they're going to sell a separate device that does it. It'll have different features on it as well, not just it's that one better than the Portal. I think it'll be. I think the Portal was a test to see what their clientele and how many people are interested in it, and then they'll make a separate console on top of that. Again, just a thought, no proof around it, just based on what it is. Didn't the devs want to stop development of Redfall? They did. That's before they got bought out before even Microsoft was in the picture. it came out that Redfall, Arcane Studios didn't want to make the game. They didn't want to make a co-op game, and ZeniMax Bethesda made them do it. They were tanking the game on purpose, and then when Microsoft bought it, they said, "Oh, thank God, they're going to make us." And Microsoft was like, "Yeah, no, continue working on it. We're not even here." Basically, is what they said, right? Right? They left, and these are the words out of their mouth. They said, "We like to leave our studios to do what they want to do. We don't want to tell them what they do." Right? And then Redfall came out and bombed. And then that's when Phil Spencer said, yeah, that's not going to happen again. We're putting Matt Booty in charge over there to make sure that the quality doesn't do exactly what happened with Redfall. They don't want another thing like Redfall to happen. Yeah, because he was a good guy. He just had a baby, needed the money, but he was doing things on my time. He shouldn't have. Rose? Son of a bitch, you heartless mother. He just had a baby. No, I'm kidding with you. I've been there, done that multiple times. It's absolute shit. I tried to sack Luke for ages, but I don't work at his company. And not his boss. Shame that. You should get, if you want to play the long game though, dog, you would get a job where he works. Then become a badass employee, shoot up past him, and then fire him. I mean, if you really wanted to do it, you would strive to do it. Halo Infinite it's just not very good. It's a very buggy game. Lack of maps. It also seems as mesh gaps in multiple maps, on multiple maps. There's also just fall through floors. Connection takes forever. But I don't know if the plans. I don't work in the company. Redfall got to be one of the most awful games released in ages. Gotta be. Well, no, it's got some stiff competition. We got Gollum. We got the King Kong Skull Island. We have the Walking Dead game. There's a lot of games out there. You would think it would be like the worst game, but no, it's pretty close. They don't want to launch Portal with the capability because then it would hurt PlayStation 5 sales. Now, since PlayStation 5 sales are slowing down, they could turn it on the feature in the Portal. Sure. But wouldn't it be smart if they can add a different handheld and charge an additional $100? Elle says, I think they will add a cloud to Portal. I hope so. I hope that I could just purchase a handheld. I don't see them having to said that anywhere. And also, explicitly have to say that the words current portals now will have to be becoming the portal in the future because of could still mean a new portal. I just feel like corporate would make a new handheld, not the same handheld with an upgrade. Oh, well, let me put it in this scenario, right? Let me ask this. Those of you, I'm just kind of feeling the waters here. Those of you that had a portal, right? I'll ask you specifically, Rose. If the portal that you have right now never gets that feature, right? And then they come out with the Portal 2.0 and it has that feature, would you be pissed or would you just trade in that one for the new one? That's my question. If they come out with another device that's better than the one that you have, which now does what you think yours is going to do, but yours is not going to do that, would you be pissed at Sony? Or would you just buy it and, sell the other one or keep it? And the reason I'm asking this is because Sony knows their player base, right? They know their clientele. Why would they be pissed if they gave me what they marketed? Because they marketed if this one, right? You're missing. I don't think you're listening to the words coming out of my mouth. I don't think you're listening to the words. I don't think you're listening to the words coming out of my mouth. I think you close off after you hear a certain part and then you assume the rest of it. I literally said if they make a separate standalone device that's Portal 2.0. It's not the one that you already have. It's another one that you have to buy that now does the thing that they said yours was going to do. Would you be pissed? That's the question. It will be 7 stages of grief, then trade in. Travis says, so wait, what is the Star Wars Outlaw reveal? I don't know. Why don't we wait and find out? What are you, my kid? We're watching a movie. What happens? I don't know. Let's all wait and see. Fuck is this? It's not a request hour. Travis, I wouldn't make you my producer if you were the last person watching my channel. I mean that. I mean that. If you were the only person in here, I wouldn't make you my producer. I wouldn't be your producer if you paid me, so it's all good. Well, that's just it. I wouldn't pay you. Z says, I like the adaptive triggers on the Portal controller, but I have unfortunately realized that I don't remote play as much as I thought I would. I like the 45-inch OLED ultra widescreen monitor. Now, if you could just put a backbone on that, Z, can you imagine? Get your 45-inch OLED ultra-wide widescreen monitor, and you just put the little backbone on that, and you walk around. Now that would be impressive. Like I could just see you at the doctor's office. You got on your lap. It'd be gigantic. You could trade out the sticks on the Portal. Can you trade out the sticks on the Portal? I don't know. I did get rid of my Surface for 13-inch Lenovo tablet, which plays Game Pass very nicely. Solomon says, we'll see who's right when we do release the new update on the Portal and the cloud capability and improved battery life. It's just like on the Switch, 2 variations of the newer versions and Cell has better Right. And I obviously, as a corporation, you're going to make that new device with the extra upgrades, right? Something tells me you wouldn't listen to your producer, even if you had one. It's true. It's true, El. Very true. I bought a Surface Pro 9, had to return it. The fan noise was so loud. If I took it to school, I think it would be annoyed people with the fan noise. Well, that's very nice of you. The fact that you returned, right? You returned a computer because you were thinking, or the Surface Pro. You returned a device because you thought that it would impede other people at school. I gotta say, Paul, that's something that I would do, right? That's something I would do. I would buy something and be like, right? Like, that's very thoughtful. And I mean it. I'm being dead serious. That says a lot about you. No, we haven't done the Informer yet. That's up next. At this point, I don't want to switch over too quick because then Travis will think that we're switching because of him. So I'm making sure we're stretching it out a little bit. Oh man. Mike, is there a beta coming from Transformers? Supposedly there is, but that's just hearsay. Ow, I just... Shit. My shoulder just... Oh my God. That feels good, though. Whew. That's karma. That's what just happened. I didn't even do anything. I just did this, and my upper shoulder went, and I was like, oh my God. I'm surprised you didn't hear it. Surprised you didn't hear it. Well, technically, Salty, there are people playing it, just not us. Give me 1 second. I turn on my fan. Getting a little warm in here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to fill my glass up. I'll be right back. What happened now? Old man Mike is getting hurt for the stream. Gotta love it. We also know the beta for last year was killing me. Did I hear a snap, crackle, pop? Well, then technically Mike fucked them. Lucky son of a bitch. What happened? Who did I fuck? All right, we got a video here. We got a video here from the Star Wars exclusive interview inside of Star Wars Outlaws reputation system. So before you even watch this, I haven't seen this yet. Just like the articles, I haven't seen it, watched it, haven't read it. But I did say the reputation system would be like a Grand Theft Auto Red Dead Redemption. So let's see. Let's see if I'm close. Let me make sure the volume's up nice and loud for you guys.
Reputation in Star Wars Outlaws it's your relationship with the crime syndicates that rule the underworld. So here we're talking about the Hutt Cartel, the Pike Syndicate, Crimson Dawn, and the Ashige Clan. And basically, your relationship with them will bring different opportunities, and it will change your experience of the world. Very early on, we knew that we wanted to do a scoundrel story, and we knew we wanted the game to be about choice and consequences. So pretty naturally, reputation came as the medium for the player to interact with the game. So that's the foundation for the game, and then we built the game around that. So all features in the game are one way or another connected to reputation.
Yeah, that scoundrel fantasy has really been like a beacon that all the other features and systems that we're creating look towards. Like, it has to be tapping into what it means to be a scoundrel, and particularly what it means to be Kay and her point of view on the world. So yeah, we've always looked to that as our pillar to direct us when we're creating our features and systems.
So the thing is, our character, KVS, she is a free
I have it blasted, Krebsy. I have it as loud as it could possibly go. I have this as loud as it can go. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, it's loud as it can go. Yeah, I never understood these companies that if they hired a freelancer to come in or if they have a person internally, but the microphones always seem shitty. And it's amazing to me.
scoundrel. Freedom is our top value in life. And in that sense, our interaction with the syndicates is not one of allegiance. It's not even one of friendship, really. It's more about how she uses the syndicates as much as they use her in their jobs to achieve her goals. So in that sense, you will work with all the syndicates, but you won't really commit to one in particular. So reputation is really about how you, as a scoundrel, navigate the world and the underworld and the crime syndicates of Star Wars.
I have a question. All right, so you're manipulating and stuff with the syndicates and the thing, but let me back up. He says something. The way he says it, though.
About
Hold on.
how she uses the syndicates as much as they use her.
Right. How much you use them as they use
in
you.
their jobs to achieve her goals. So in that sense, you will work with all the syndicates, but
So you're working with all the syndicates. So does it really matter, like, what order you do it in? Does it change the order that you do it in? Is it the dialogue options? And I'm asking because, you know, like Baldur's Gate or Fallout or Starfield, right? Where if there's dialogue options, it doesn't matter what one I pick, or does it all end up in the exact same spot regardless, right? Is it actual choice, like Baldur's Gate 3, or is it, you know, magical choice of I pick stuff, but it always ends up the same type of way?
but you won't really commit to one in particular.
So you're not committing to one, but at the same time, you're going to... So let's say I do all of Jabba's syndicate stuff, right? And then I go to the next one, or I back and forth in between. Like, I don't know. I know it's not a big deal, but I want to know more about this.
So reputation is really about how you, as a scoundrel, navigate the...
Right. Reputation is about how you navigate. But navigating meaning it's different because I'm going from faction 1 to 2 to 3 instead of 3 to 1 to 2. It's going to end up the exact same way, but the choice is what order I want to do it in, not that it's different every time. You understand what I'm saying? Like, do I do a playthrough of it and just do one to Syndicate? Is it going to change the next time I play the game and do a couple things and then do one faction all the way to the other? Get it? I don't know. I don't know if I'm expressing myself enough.
The world and the underworld and the crime syndicates of Star Wars. So it's all about your choices as a player as well.
It's all about your choices, but is it about your choices? Because it doesn't seem like it's about your choices. Just straight up the way it feels manufactured, as you're saying, right? It's manufactured choice, Salty.
You can choose to work for one syndicate, or you can choose to work for another based on your goals of the moment. So it's really empowering in terms of player choice. So we think that in that sense, it lends itself very well for an open world game.
Yeah, I mean, we have such a strong theme and a strong story as well. I mean, a lot of this is driven by who Kay is meeting in that moment and what makes sense in terms of the syndicate she's interacting with. There are moments in the game, there are beats in the game where the reputation that you're getting or losing is just, those choices are flowing from what the story is telling anyway. So that's where we start.
So, okay. So that's another thing. So what she just said there, hold on, let's do her again.
The reputation that you're getting or losing is just, those choices are flowing from what the story is telling anyway.
You lose reputation, you raise reputation, but she says there's beats, there's beat moments. which I feel like they're manufactured beats, not more of a freedom of like Skyrim that I'm walking around and do what I want. It's gonna force me to go into certain sections. You know what I mean?
So that's where we start, and then it's really about just honing down on those experiences to.
So this scene right here, I said this months and months and months ago. This scene right here, I'll listen to what she's saying in a second. What I want is the freedom, and again, maybe that's not what this game is, right? Maybe that's not what this game is. But I want the freedom of like Grand Theft Auto, right? Like if I do the mission in Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption, right? I go from point A to point B, that's the mission. Grab this, go here, that's the mission. But while I'm doing this mission, all of a sudden there's a cart coming down the other direction. And I want to shoot that guy in the face, and then I go off on some tangent, okay? When you're running away from the factions, and you have that shuttle coming down in the back of it,
honing down
right?
on.
Do I have to get on the ship because that's what it wants me to do? Or can I stay and fight at that location and fight off the Empire, right? That's what I want to know. I want to know the amount of freedom I have in this game. Is it actual freedom, or is it manufactured freedom where they're pushing me along? They're saying, well, you better get on that ship.
Those experiences to check that all different choices and all different actions, like all the different ways you could play the game, we're still holding on to that idea that you've got the freedom and you're aligning with exactly who you.
Right, like right now, obviously it's a cutscene. It's a cutscene and they're taking off. But I want to turn around, take that ship, and blow up the other ship behind me. So let me listen to what she says now, because I was talking over her.
Then it's really about just honing down on those experiences to check that all different choices and all different actions, like all the different ways you could play the game, we're still holding on to that idea that you've got the freedom and you're aligning with exactly who you want to be aligning with in that moment.
Oh, I get that, Salty. I understand that it says escape the Empire, but at the same time, escaping means I can get away, or I can kill them all, and then I'm also escaping, right? Obviously, they'll send more and more people, but what about if I shoot them before they ask for backup? Or does it automatically just keep sending more and more people after you?
I mean, it is the underworld. So yes, everything is transactional to a degree. You will get to know characters better than some others. But in terms of friendships, I mean, everything in Star Wars Outlaws is at the backdrop of the underworld, and people can betray you, they can double cross you. That is just the world Kay is living in.
Yeah, and sometimes they will betray you, and you'll have to roll with the punches. Sometimes you will betray them. So, for example, when you pick up a job, sometimes you'll get the opportunity to side with another syndicate. You'll get contacted with a better reward. So it will be up to you to decide if you want to protect your reputation with your employer, or if you want to be greedy and go for more money at the cost of reputation. Yeah, these big surprise moments where you get betrayed are always tied to a narrative. So it's always part of the story. So it's Kay's story after all.
Yeah, but not Travis, right? Because that is they own that. So it's not the Nemesis system. It's a watered down version, You're
not always in control. You can, of course, adapt, but sometimes things will happen. And you will have to, again, roll with the punches there. The smaller jobs are a little clearer, so it's more about you choosing if you want to betray them, but you will never get betrayed for like smaller things that are not tied to a big narrative moment.
And I mean, the crux of the system is really that it fluctuates backwards and forward. So yes, you can end up in bad or terrible reputation, but the next hour of the game, maybe you're in good and excellent, and it goes backwards and forwards. It's as much as that, it's really about rolling with the punches.
Yeah, and you it's a little bit of adjustment compared to some other games where it's an always up type of approach. But here it's really part of the flow to just fluctuate, go down and up in reputation. So that's something you kind of learn, and then if you lose reputation on a job, that's okay. You'll make it up maybe the next job, and if you want to make it up faster, then you can take things in your own
Don't even get me started on the camera guy, Travis. I'm trying not to say anything about the camera guy.
hands, and you can pick up a contract, or maybe choose to assist one of the factions, one of the syndicates in the world, and regain some of their trust.
You get the full experience, like Kay's story in Star Wars Outlaws. It's Kay's story. The main beats are there. What reputation does is it changes maybe your approach to a problem within the story. If you have to, say, steal something from the Pikes and you have bad reputation with them, then they're going to make your life a lot more difficult as you're trying to do that. But if you're good reputation, maybe you can just walk into one of their territories and just take the item. So it changes more the gameplay around the story rather than the overall story itself.
Yeah. Go ahead. Oh yeah, sorry. There are points in the story where...
Why are we doing this?
Itself.
Yeah. Go ahead. Oh yeah, sorry. There are points in the story where...
First of all, there's two things problem here. Okay? First of all, why are we showing
Story
this
itself.
Yeah. Right
Go ahead.
here?
Oh yeah, sorry. There are points...
Right? And then
points
cutting
in the
to
story
this.
where...
The editor's supposed to save the camera guy. This editor left the camera guy on a goddamn cliff with no safety rope. So they're using a one camera setup. Okay? And he's panning back and forth. Oh, for God's sakes. The editor, how did you not just move this over just like a couple frames? Look, like what are we doing? You could have saved him. Oh, for God's sakes, just over.
There are points in the story where you'll get to choose how you want to approach something. So, for example, do I want to steal something in the district of one of the factions, of one of the syndicates, or the other? And in that case, well, based on your current reputation, you can decide where to go. Of course, if you have a good rep with good reputation with one of the syndicates, it's going to be an easier approach to that problem. So that you can be flexible, but there are always ways to work around reputation.
Yeah, because of...
I can't chat. 20 years of my life, I was a camera guy. Okay? I can't. How does the editor leave this guy left hanging like that?
that transactional nature
All you gotta do is take a clip and put it over where they're talking.
of the underworld. It's reputation. It's not a friendship. It's temporary alliances. It's very much about people working with each other in the underworld. It's very direct and to the point. Like, Kate, we need you to work with us because we need to use your thief skills. So the impact of reputation is more about how the world reacts to you, how all the people in the world that you meet will react slightly differently depending on your current reputation about...
I'm telling you, I get vibes of like a Red Dead Redemption type of thing. And I'm not saying this is Red Dead Redemption. I don't think they have balls on the animals that are there and it gets hot and cold and they shrink and grow. Okay. But what I'm saying is I feel like this is like Star Wars Red Dead Redemption, right? Where you can, it says meet ND5 in the place, right? But it's like, I could just walk around and explore and come back to this later and kind of interact and not, I don't know if I could shoot up the place and do that type of stuff, but I feel like that's what this feels like. It feels like a Western. It feels like a Star Wars Red Dead Redemption type of thing.
The areas that you can explore, all the things that are open to you.
Globally, the syndicates will react differently to you depending on your reputation with them. If you have a good reputation...
First of all, can I also make another statement here? You see this thing back here? This is called a window. Okay. Now, a good camera operator or a good production team would have blocked out this window because you can't control this light. You would block out this window and then add your own lights. So you would add a light to the background to separate this guy from the foreground. Okay. Now, me right here as a YouTuber, I only have 2 lights. I don't have a whole studio here. Otherwise, I would have a streak, or it would pull myself away from the wall. But I have just a shitty ass camera here. Okay. But as a person that they probably paid for to come in to shoot this thing, they close the blinds, put something up there, put a flag, put something up there, and a flag, not like a flag like you get for this. It's called a flag, right? Block out the light, then make your own light.
Depending on your reputation with them. If you have a good reputation, they might turn into temporary allies and help you in the world. If you have a bad reputation, they'll get suspicious and aggressive even. So they will attack you. You might want to alter where you go, which, you know, if a syndicate controls a part of the world, you might want to avoid it if you have a bad reputation with them, because that's going to be very dangerous.
Also impact.
That's true, Z. They're almost lost for what they're trying to say. So like, and I don't know if it's because they're speaking English, but because it's not they're looking for certain words. I think that's why they seem a little unsure about themselves, because they also don't want to say something that, because people are going to take a magnifying glass to this, and they're like, we'll see what they said here. They want to make sure they're saying the right things, and that's why they're kind of like, right? It's not like it's written out. They're asking them questions, and then they're answering those questions.
Merchants. So if you are a good reputation with a merchant who's affiliated with one of the syndicates, then they're going to give you a discount, and vice versa. They'll jack up the prices as a bit of a punishment for not being in good reputation. And then there's also some characters that you will meet in districts who might have like a...
Right, they're trying to give you information, but at the same time they're trying to be as generic as possible, right? Because they don't want to give too much away. Which to me, I get it, but they're also, it kind of makes me worry a little bit that they don't want to give you a little bit of information of the characters or certain things. I don't know. I find it a red flag, but
a small little storyline which you wouldn't be able to interact with if you weren't in good reputation.
Okay, so I like what she says there about the reputation. Let me rewind a little bit.
So if you are a good reputation with a merchant who's affiliated with one of the syndicates, then they're going to give you a discount, and vice versa. They'll jack up the prices as a bit of a punishment for not being in good reputation. And then there's also some characters that you will meet in districts who might have like a small little storyline which you wouldn't be able to interact with if you weren't in good reputation.
I like that obviously other games do the same thing, where if you have high reputation for something else, I'm playing Fallout 76 right now, you have the the settlements, and then you also have the raiders. And if you're up with the raiders, then certain things that they sell wouldn't be there if you weren't in good standing with them. So I do like stuff like that. Now, I like it because if you play it one time through and maybe you max out one faction over another and kind of see what it is, or it's the same game and you're kind of just balancing in between. I kind of like stuff like that because it's more longevity for the game if you like the game. A lot of people probably won't interact with that. They'll probably just play through the game, do the main storylines, finish the game, be done, and move on. But I do like again, this is just like Red Dead Redemption type of stuff where you're in with certain people, certain quests open up or not. So I like that.
Well, I think the decision to make this more about how the world reacts to you than by changing the story dramatically, I think that's actually helped us sort of complement the other departments in what we're doing.
I just noticed there, Salty, when you back up here, the same clip.
Dramatically.
If you notice in the upper right-hand corner, it doesn't say anything about escape the Empire. They're coming down. Now, I wonder if that would pop up if you didn't run, because I think it turns on when she hits the
other departments
launch bay or the launch pad or the docking station.
We've been able to find lots of little ways all over the game to show that impact of reputation and show the influence of being friends or not being friends with the syndicate. So I think mostly it's just we've been able to support that and lift that up from every department in the game, I think.
Yeah, and I think everyone was very excited from the beginning to work with Reputation and look at, okay, how can we inject Reputation in the different aspects of the game? So I think creatively, it was something that really, made the creative energy bubble in the team. Very positive overall, I would say. Like Alice said, when we decided early on to protect the story, to have a very strong story, we could open our chakras everywhere else. So Kay still has a very strong moral compass. She's an archetypical scoundrel in the way that, in many ways, she's very special in many ways too. But one of the traits from the archetypical scoundrel, in our opinion, is that they are good people at their heart. So the type of jobs.
Right. Instead of getting in my ship and escaping them, could I jump on a bike or take another vehicle, shoot them up, and then drive out of town to lose them, and then go back? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I wanted the kind of freedom. Or is it look like freedom, but it's on rails?
That Kay will take.
Are you getting upset by the video? Yeah, I get upset by the video because this is what I did. I worked in the video industry. I worked in the film industry. So when I see people doing the stuff for interviews and stuff, and they do these rookie mistakes, yes, it does irritate me.
Will be fundamentally, good. She might mess with syndicates, but she will not mess with people who are, innocent or don't deserve to be messed with.
She's also a rookie, which means she's kind of bad at it sometimes as well. As we get to watch Kay grow into this role as well. So she might try and betray someone and it not go super well because, she's still finding a place in the underworld and learning. So there's that aspect to it as well.
That's a good idea, I'll turn, but at this point, I don't care that much.
So one of the examples is we mentioned you can go into districts that are owned by syndicates.
Even if the camera guys are inexperienced, the crew's inexperienced, that editor, man, the editor should have saved them.
You can do that at good reputation, but you can't loot freely in there. If you can still steal from them. I liken this to, you know someone well enough to invite them over for tea, but you don't know them well enough for them to just start taking your stuff and borrowing it. So you can only loot freely in those districts if you're at excellent reputation.
Okay.
They will.
So you can steal if you have, well, you wouldn't have to steal. You can borrow if you know people, but you can't. But can I steal if I don't know them?
Also, at different milestones, they will send little thank you gifts. So you'll get some rewards. And also something that's really interesting is contracts, so our underworld jobs. The contracts available to you will vary based on your reputation. So if you have a terrible reputation, for example, the type of contract you'll receive is more about, hustles to get you out of your bad spot. So the reputation that you'll gain from those is quite big, but you won't get a lot of money.
What is the point? So let me ask this, right? So what is the point of the reputation? He's saying the worse reputation, the shittier jobs you get. The better reputation, the better jobs you get. But why am I getting these jobs? Do I get these jobs to get credits to get better weapons, and the better weapons help me do certain things? Or is it just, you know what I mean? Like, what is the RPG factor of this? Do I really need to do the side quests and get these jobs to do something? Or can I just find a gun on the ground and use that gun and whatnot? Is there a skill tree? Is there something to level up? Is there something? I know there's the blaster for stun and stuff like that, but what's the point of doing all these factions and getting good with the standing with them to get the certain credits? What's the game mechanic?
On the other end of this, if you have an excellent reputation, they will give you high risk, high reward jobs. So they will entrust you with those top contracts. And when you go there, of course, you can cash out a lot of money.
Great.
But also you get the opportunity to work for another syndicate and betray them. So you can,
for what though?
You can double down and you can make even more money. But
what am I getting this money for? What am I doing this money for? Tell me what I'm using the money for.
At the cost of your excellent reputation with that syndicate. It's really something where you can strategize and decide if you want to keep boosting your reputation for all those advantages that we talked about, or if you want to kind of cash out on your reputation to get a lot of money.
I know that there's no reputation system within like the Empire, like it's only with these individual syndicates. But is that where the wanted system comes into play? Is that how I'm understanding it correctly?
Yeah, precisely. So the wanted system represents your interactions with the Empire. So the Empire will mostly ignore you, but if they catch you doing something that they don't like, which is typically messing with the Empire, then you will become wanted. And the more that escalates, like the more troops, the more people they will send after you. So all the way to the world being filled with people actively looking for Kay, trying to neutralize her. So if you reach the maximum wanted level, an event will spawn in the world where Death Troopers will appear, and if you manage to defeat them, you'll be able to clear your wanted level. But that's one of the...
Okay, so I can, if I beat the Death Troopers, okay, so I'm decked out. Early on, I probably can't do it, but I'm wanted. The Death Troopers come, I defeat them, and then what does he say?
World where Death Troopers will appear, and if you manage to defeat them, you'll be able to clear your wanted level. But that's one of the top...
What does he say there? Carry your wanted level? Hold on a second. You'll be able to clear...
manage to defeat them, you'll be able to clear your wanted level.
Clear your wanted
But
level.
that's one of the...
Yeah, his accent, I couldn't understand him. I had to put the subtitles on there for a second. To clear your wanted level.
The top challenges in the game, because you have to imagine that you're maximum wanted on that planet. So the Empire is everywhere. There are troops everywhere. The occasional ATST looking for you, and there's a ship of Death Troopers landing somewhere, and you go for a showdown versus them. And if you beat them, you're free. So the full...
All right, so that answers my question. So I'm wanted. I can stay and fight them and then clear my wanted level. But what do I get for that besides just clearing my wanted level? I don't know.
Worst case nightmare for Kay would be to be wanted by the Empire at the maximum level and also hunted down, so with a contract on her head from the 4 syndicates. And that's, yeah, good luck to get out of that alive.
I think someone would actively have to try.
Bro. So here's what I'm getting. This game is all about reputation. Okay, that's what I'm getting at right now. The whole game revolves around reputation, about what syndicates you're getting jobs for, doing the jobs, better reputation, better jobs, better money, better credits. But what is that? If that's it, that's a bad game mechanic. It's a bad game mechanic. There better be some really good storytelling within this.
And annoy everybody all at the same time to get to that point.
Yes.
I'm sure someone's gonna try it.
Like, I see achievements in the future where it's like, have a bad standing with all the syndicates at the same time. Have good standing with all the syndicates all at the same time, right? Like, balance between the syndicates. I feel like some of this stuff is there just to have achievements.
Very important to TikToks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a little I don't feel confident. Now, obviously it looks good. It looks good. I need to know more. Because now I feel like it's very dependent on the reputation system, which we know is not really a reputation system, right? I have a reputation system right now in Fallout 76 that doesn't really do very much, right? Who thinks Ubi is about to get sued by Rockstar? No, they don't have that copyrighted. It's not the Nemesis system. Pride and accomplishment, bro. Come on. Yeah, the more they talked about the reputation system, the more I got concerned. Because, one, we do know you can level up your blaster from the last video that we watched, right? It can do like a stun. It can do more powerful. It can do like a blast. It can do auto fire or whatever. My problem is you can level up the gun. Okay, cool. And you can level up the stuff. But what am I using all that money for? Am I using it for ship upgrades? Am I using it for... They didn't say anything. They just said that you want to use reputation to go up with the factions. And with each faction that your reputation you go up, you'll unlock more things that you couldn't have done if you had bad reputation with them. So you have to go up the reputation with that. The better products or the better missions that you would get with having good standing with the reputation, and then you get more money. Well, great. What am I using that money for? What is the point of getting the money? Because we do know it's a heist game, right? You're trying to get as many people part of your crew so you can do the biggest heist. So it's basically Ocean's 11. It's an Ocean's 11 story plot. But for what? What do I need the money for? Is it for rent? Is it am I sending it back to my sick mother? Like, do I want to go to Jedi Academy? Like, what do I need this money for? Is it just to live? Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, I understand it's a game. But you're putting the system in the game. But there has to be a reason that you're putting the system in the game. Besides just me going around going, oh, I got to get a good reputation. As long as it's not Ocean's 13, I'm good. No, I understand it's a reputation video, Dolphin. I mean, it says Star Wars Outlaws reputation system. I get that. But again, just like when I read the articles, I can only give you my opinion based on what we read, right? I can only give you my opinion on something that we watched. And we watched the reputation system. Now, based off of what we watched, I'm not sold based on the reputation system with this game because it doesn't sound very in-depth. It sounds very basic level from other games in the past. The game could be made more in a live service due to how it's built. But I don't think it was a live service game. I don't believe that. I mean, they did show more down the road, but yes, it was kind of weird to explain it, what it used for. Very mid. So they can sell you on time savers. You can buy more game. Oh, dude, if they did that, that would be bad. I was more focused on how bad the recording crew was over the info of the game for the reputation. I mean, I like the reputation system. But I just don't know. Okay, we got the reputation system now. I'm making money. What am I using that money for? I just needed just a little line, one line that says, you want to make as much money as possible so you can buy upgrades. They didn't say that. They didn't say that. If it's not like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth minigame sim and have platforming, I'm sold. It'll be upgrades. But we only know the upgrades are for per gun that we know of from the last video that we watched, Salty. And I believe with that, it's not even upgrading your gun with money. I think it's just you have to find plans or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Upgrade your ship and blaster. Come on, 30. And then you can fly through the rings to get more powers. But I don't think it is, but it was reputation. Everything could be added a new heist or other things over time to build the game even more. Now, it would be cool to do the heist, right? Like I understand what they're trying to do here with the Ocean's 11 type of story plot. You gotta go around the world. You're doing the biggest. You probably get in with somebody. You gotta do a big heist. You gotta get other people that you trust, or that you're gonna find along the way that you trust, and then some are gonna, as they said, are gonna double cross you and whatnot. About learning to trust people and whatnot. But it's like, do I need the money so I can hire the crew? Do you know what I mean? Like, do I need to get the money to then hire a better crew to do the job for me? I'm calling out sick from work for Thursday's show. I have way too much to say about this. Jesus. No, you can't do that, Sarge. I already have Kingard coming in. You've been replaced. How it works. It's like Microsoft getting rid of Tango Games. You've been replaced this week. As co-owner, he can do whatever he wants, or he can lay your ass off as the older brother. He has that right. None of that's true. That statement right there, Travis, is the biggest piece of bullshit I've ever heard come out of your mouth. That's right. He literally double-crossed Sarge. How would I double-cross him? He's the one that told me he couldn't make the show. I covered my ass. How am I punished for being responsible? I could have easily said that the show is canceled this week. We didn't have time to get to the Helldivers or the Kotaku article, which we'll probably bring up on Thursday's show. Either tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening. Should have tested AI Sarge. I'll be honest with you, Krebsy. I thought about it for a split second, but I was like, it's too hard to do it on my side. If you are going to do that, Sarge, and call out, then I could probably make another segment, like another window, and have Kingard still on the show. But that's more work for me. Just call it Sarge's Spotlight. We'll have Sarge make a video on his own, just about ranting certain things, and then as me and Kinger go back and forth, we'll just do full screen of Sarge coming in, giving his rebuttal. We said it on the show that one time when your internet fucked up. I was like, we could do Sarge. We could do AI Sarge. You probably don't remember. I'm still sold on Outlaws, but then again, I'm a simple person. Until Star Wars gives me a bad game, I keep on buying games. Yeah, I'm not giving him $60 for that game. If and when it comes out, I will pay the $18 for that 1 month. That's if I'm not already playing another game at that time. If AI Sarge doesn't yell as Sarge, I don't want it. I don't think, does AI yell? I don't think AI has emotion. Oh, for sure. For sure, I'll finish it within the month. Yeah, yet. Krebsy, right. It has no emotion yet. All right. That's going to do it for me this morning. I do appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out with us this morning. If you like what I do this Monday through Thursday. We just read news stories, have conversations with chat in between each story. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you, Quintar, for the 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate that. And if you'd like to go above and beyond that, you become a member as little as $5. We'll be back tonight for some more gameplay. Other than that, I appreciate it very much, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.